What we just witnessed between Christine and Kody Brown isn't just a breakup, it's the unraveling of years of emotional manipulation. Disguised as spiritual marriage, Christine isn't just walking away from Kody, she's reclaiming her dignity after being treated like an afterthought for far too long. Tonight, we're breaking down the moment Christine finally said, "Enough," and why Kody's reaction proves he never expected her to actually leave. This scene opens with Christine's quiet exhaustion, a tone that says more than words ever could. She's not shouting, she's not pleading, she's simply done. After years of trying to make herself small to keep the peace, she's reached a point of emotional clarity. What stands out here is how calm she is, even as Kody's responses grow defensive and dismissive. This isn't a woman acting on impulse. This is someone who's processed her pain, her disappointment, and finally decided she deserves more than half love and shared scraps of affection. When Christine tells Kody she can't do marriage with him anymore, it's not an attack. It's liberation. The power dynamic has shifted. For years, Kody held control through emotional guilt and spiritual authority, but in this moment, Christine breaks free from that system entirely. You can almost see Kody's confusion. He's lost not just a wife, but the narrative he's maintained for decades. He tries to downplay her feelings, suggesting she's overreacting or being dramatic, but Christine doesn't bite. She's beyond the stage of trying to convince him to understand. That's what makes this scene so powerful. She's no longer seeking validation, she's reclaiming agency. You can feel the weight of every year she spent waiting for affection that never came. Kody, on the other hand, is unraveling. His tone shifts from disbelief to anger to wounded pride. It's not that he loves Christine, it's that he can't stand losing control over her. You can hear it in his words when he says things like, "I never said I didn't love you," as if the bare minimum of attachment should erase years of neglect. It's classic deflection, trying to rewrite the story even as it collapses around him. Christine, though, doesn't flinch. Her silence becomes her power. Every time she pauses, it's a rejection of Kody's manipulation. It's the sound of someone who has finally realized that peace is more valuable than proximity to someone who doesn't see her worth. This moment isn't just the end of a relationship. It's the rebirth of a woman who finally believes she deserves joy, even if it means walking away from everything she's ever known. As the conversation continues, Kody starts spiraling. You can almost see the panic rising behind his controlled expression. His voice grows sharper, his posture more rigid. This isn't about heartbreak for him. It's about losing authority. For years, his marriages were structured around a hierarchy, with him at the top, deciding who got attention, affection, and time. But Christine's decision to leave completely shatters that system. When he accuses her of being selfish or says she's throwing away something sacred, it's projection. What he's really saying is, "How dare you make a choice without my permission?" It's the same pattern we've seen throughout Sister Wives, Kody masking control as morality. But Christine no longer buys into it. Her responses are grounded, measured, and painfully honest. She's not playing his emotional chess game anymore. The symbolism in this moment is striking. Kody stands there trying to argue theology, commitment, and loyalty. Yet the woman in front of him has already emotionally packed up and left. She's mentally out the door before she physically walks away. And that's what makes this moment hit so hard. It's not about rage, it's about release. Christine isn't burning bridges. She's walking away from the ashes. You can also sense Kody's complete misunderstanding of the situation. He keeps circling back to image, how it looks to others, what the family will think, what the church might say. Meanwhile, Christine talks about how she feels, how she's tired of the loneliness, the rejection, the broken promises. It's a conversation between control and freedom, and for once, freedom wins. Her calmness exposes Kody's chaos. The more composed she becomes, the more he loses his grip. He can't intimidate her anymore. There's a moment of silence after one of his defensive rants, and Christine just looks at him with this quiet recognition, like she's finally seeing him clearly for the first time. Not as her husband, not as her spiritual leader, but as a man who's been emotionally unavailable for years. By the time she says, "I deserve a relationship where I'm loved fully," it lands like a declaration of independence. She's not begging for love anymore. She's demanding respect. And that's the final shift. Kody realizes he can't argue her back into submission. The power he once had over her is gone. This part of their confrontation isn't just dramatic television. It's a lesson in emotional boundaries. Christine's strength doesn't come from anger. It comes from peace. She's choosing herself after decades of being told to choose faith, family, and husband before her own happiness. And in that choice, she becomes the most empowered version of herself. The Christine who no longer needs Kody's approval to know her worth. Once Christine makes her decision clear, the atmosphere shifts completely. There's a weight in the air, not of regret, but of finality. You can see it in Kody's face. He's stunned that the woman who once tried so hard to please him now speaks with such certainty. For years, he assumed she'd never actually go through with leaving. But Christine's resolve proves that silence isn't weakness. It's preparation. This part of their exchange becomes less about argument and more about realization. Kody starts to understand that no amount of guilt-tripping or spiritual talk can change the outcome. His words, "You're giving up on the family, you're breaking our covenant," sound hollow now. They once held power because Christine believed them. But now she's detached from the emotional grip he used to have. It's the kind of emotional evolution that can't be undone. Christine's composure here is striking. She doesn't lash out. She doesn't cry to prove a point. She simply stands her ground. That quiet strength exposes Kody's insecurity more than any outburst ever could. He wants her to show doubt, to question herself, but she won't. She's learned that her peace no longer depends on his validation. And that realization terrifies him. As Christine walks away, metaphorically and literally, the show captures something raw and universal. The moment a person stops trying to fix someone who refuses to see their worth. It's not just about leaving a marriage. It's about leaving behind a version of herself that settled for less. You can almost feel the energy shift from despair to liberation. Every step she takes away from Kody is a step toward freedom, self-trust, and healing. Meanwhile, Kody's reaction reveals his true priorities. He's not mourning the end of love. He's mourning the loss of control. His tone becomes bitter, defensive, and self-centered. He's less concerned about Christine's happiness and more focused on how her choice makes him look. That narcissistic undertone has been threaded throughout their relationship, and in this scene, it finally gets exposed for what it is. The beauty of this moment is that it doesn't end with chaos. It ends with clarity. Christine's journey has been painful, but necessary. For the first time, she's choosing a life that isn't dictated by obligation or fear. She's choosing herself, her children, her joy, her peace. And while Kody might never understand that kind of strength, Christine doesn't need him to. By the end, the silence between them says it all. There's no dramatic reconciliation, no promises of change, just the truth, finally spoken and accepted. Christine walks away, not as a victim, but as a survivor of emotional neglect who finally decided that love without respect isn't love at all. As Christine steps out of that door, both literally and emotionally, and we witness the rebirth of a woman who has spent nearly 3 decades shrinking herself to fit inside a marriage that never valued her individuality. This isn't a dramatic escape. It's a quiet revolution. You can feel the difference in her energy. She's lighter, freer, no longer tethered to the constant cycle of disappointment and denial. Kody, on the other hand, is left standing in the wreckage of his own creation. For years, he built his authority on the illusion of harmony. The idea that as the patriarch, he was the glue holding everyone together. But the truth finally surfaces. It was Christine and women like her who kept the family functioning. Her emotional labor, her patience, her willingness to carry the burden, that's what kept the structure intact. Once she steps away, the entire system begins to collapse. In these moments, Kody's responses turn from anger to victimhood. He starts painting himself as the wounded one, claiming betrayal and disrespect. But the irony is glaring. He's only now feeling a fraction of the abandonment he made Christine live through for years. His control over the narrative is slipping, and he knows it. Every time he blames her, every time he calls her selfish or ungrateful, it sounds less like conviction and more like desperation. Christine, meanwhile, is already transforming. You can see it in her interviews and her body language. She's reclaiming her joy, her sense of humor, and most importantly, her independence. She doesn't speak from bitterness. She speaks from clarity. She's no longer looking back, no longer asking, "Why wasn't I enough?" Because she finally realizes the truth. She was enough. She always was. The problem was never her worth. It was Kody's inability to appreciate it. This moment also marks a shift in how viewers perceive the entire family dynamic. Fans who once questioned Christine's strength now see her courage in full force. She's not breaking a covenant, she's breaking a cycle. And by doing so, she's showing countless people stuck in emotionally draining relationships that walking away isn't failure, it's survival. Kody's downfall isn't sudden. It's slow, humiliating, and self-inflicted. As the other wives begin to see Christine thrive, his power diminishes even further. His ego can't handle the idea that Christine's happiness no longer depends on him. And that's what makes her liberation so powerful. It dismantles not only the emotional chains around her, but the illusion of control he held for decades. In the end, Christine's story becomes bigger than Sister Wives. It becomes a symbol of awakening, of what happens when a woman stops waiting for validation and starts choosing her own peace. She's walking into a life built on self-worth instead of self-sacrifice. And as for Kody, he's left behind, not because Christine stopped loving, but because she finally learned to love herself enough to leave Christine. Brown's departure from Kody isn't just the end of a relationship, but it's a complete dismantling of a belief system that kept her chained for decades. What we've witnessed isn't merely the collapse of a plural marriage. It's the rebirth of a woman rediscovering her value after years of spiritual gaslighting and emotional starvation. The beauty of Christine's journey lies in how undramatic her strength looks. It's not loud, it's not vengeful, it's steady, deliberate, and grounded in self-respect. She doesn't scream her freedom, she embodies it. When Christine first announced her decision to leave, few believed she'd actually do it. After all, she'd spent years trying to keep the peace, absorbing Kody's indifference, and pretending things were fine for the sake of family unity. But what became painfully clear is that peace built on suppression isn't peace at all. It's quiet suffering. Christine's courage came from realizing that staying silent wasn't noble. It was destructive. Her leaving wasn't an impulsive act. It was a carefully chosen declaration that her happiness mattered, even if it disrupted everything she'd known. Kody's reaction throughout this breakup reveals volumes about his mindset. Instead of introspection or remorse, we saw defensiveness, projection, and control. He was more concerned with how Christine's decision made him look than how his behavior made her feel. That's the defining tragedy of Kody Brown. He confuses authority with love, obedience with loyalty, and dominance with devotion. His inability to empathize or acknowledge Christine's emotional starvation shows exactly why this marriage failed. What's fascinating about this moment is how it resonates beyond the show. So many viewers, especially women, see themselves in Christine's quiet awakening. She represents every person who's been dismissed, undervalued, or emotionally manipulated into staying in an unbalanced relationship. Her decision to walk away is revolutionary because it's rooted in self-worth rather than rebellion. It's a reminder that choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. As Christine rebuilds her life, the transformation is visible. There's a lightness to her now, laughter, confidence, and authenticity that were buried under years of spiritual guilt. She's showing the world that freedom doesn't come from running away. It comes from walking toward peace, even if it means starting over. Her bravery is contagious. By reclaiming her narrative, she's inspiring thousands of others to do the same, to stop waiting for someone to validate them and start writing their own stories. Meanwhile, Kody's world continues to shrink. Without Christine's stabilizing presence, his control over the family narrative crumbles. The irony is poetic. The wife he once treated as expendable becomes the one whose absence exposes everything wrong with his leadership. The more Christine flourishes, the smaller Kody's influence appears. In the end, Christine's journey isn't just about divorce, it's about rebirth. It's about rediscovering the voice she was told to quiet, the dream she was told to abandon, and the love she was told to ration. She didn't just walk away from Kody Brown, she walked toward herself. And that, more than anything, is what true liberation looks like.